All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and first off, I just want to go ahead and say, yes, I dreamt about heaven, and it was one of the most amazing dreams that I've ever had. And I want to go ahead and explain it to you guys. Now, with that being said, I am going to be cutting the dream about in half because I know that the video, me explaining it, would be too long. But just know that in the first half, of the actual dream, I was having sex with somebody I thought was my high school crush, and as it turned out, it was some sort of demon, because when she got killed, this black sludge started oozing out, almost like very very gunky oil, like really old oil. So, the person that killed her for me was saying that I need to run away from this, and that, it's pretty dangerous where I'm at right now. So go ahead and run away. So I went ahead and ran away, and I wake up inside the dream. Now, part one of this is the room that I wake up in. I can see two doors distinctly, and I get up from the bed. Now the doors are pretty or like the entire room is pretty dark. I can still see where the exit is. I can still see that there's a closet in there. I can still see like where the window is and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, well, I don't know where I'm at, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do my own thing. So I go into the hallway, go out there, and all of a sudden I notice that there's this kid that doesn't have any eyes. In fact, the bangs were right here, but right here to here was completely black. And all I can say is it was like red. There was like hints of red in those eyes, but you couldn't see it. You had to pay close attention to it. Otherwise, otherwise you wouldn't have figured it out. So I did pay attention to that. I just remember that this person was eyeless for a little while, and then like as he got closer to me, with this sizzling hot cherry red hot pan that had little sausage links in it, he was like, take a sausage, and I was like, no, I'm good, I don't want it. And so he was like, no, is it because it's hot? I can cool that off for you. So he goes ahead and he does this with his hand, and all of a sudden the pan cools off, but it doesn't cool off completely. It cools off just enough for it to show that it's not cherry red hot anymore, but you can definitely tell that it is still pretty hot. So he's like, go ahead and take a sausage, I implore you. And so I was like, no, I don't want it. And so the kid goes ahead and gets closer to me. Now at this point, I'm backed up in the fridge. And I backed up into the fridge, and I have nowhere to go. Pretty much all avenues of escape were blocked by this one kid, and I couldn't do anything about that. And so he gets closer and closer to me with this pan, and as he gets closer, I notice in real life I start having this tingling sensation right here where he was actually putting the pan. So like as he's getting closer, that's where the heat was radiating in the dream, and I could feel the sensation on my ribs. And he was getting closer and closer, and as soon as he got close enough, like just about to touch it, that was when I woke up a second time in the same dream. So at this point, that was when I woke up, and I noticed that now the room is still dark, but one door is luminescent. Here's the problem. You could see that the lights were dancing on the door frame, so like where the cracks were and everything like that. You could see that the light was, getting brighter in certain areas and then getting darker, and the light was just dancing around the frame of the door. And so obviously I thought to myself, that's not good. Like, I need to get out of here. And so that's one of my coworkers. She comes up. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, what's happening?" And I was like, "Listen, I got to get out of here. Like, this is not where I'm supposed to be." So I start running and running and running. I don't remember exactly what happened at this point, but all of a sudden I remember as I'm running, that's when I wake up a third time. And this time was completely different. Now the room again was black. like it was dark. The door was still luminescent with the dancing flames in the background. And so I knew not to go there. So I went ahead and started running out of the door, out of the exit door. And as I'm running, that's when I noticed that the floor underneath me started to disappear. And this is where it kind of got crazy. The floor disappears. I'm no longer touching the ground. And it was almost as if something or someone was lifting me up into the heavens, because, and I mean that literally, because when I was going up, right around where I kind of like an arch, I noticed that I was doing this, and right when I got to the peak, that was when I looked ahead, and as I'm looking ahead, I noticed that there is a path set, a clear path set before me, and it had the gates of heaven open to me. And so I also looked across, and I noticed that the there was a city made of gold, and I remember there were tall steeples and these tall buildings and stuff like that. It was almost like it was a mountain, built up. So like there was a base where it had all the houses, and then like as you saw it go higher and higher, that's where you saw like more steeples, more like holy grounds and everything like that. Places where people went to worship the Lord and everything of that sort. And it was insane. It was awesome. It was gold. It was shiny. It was nice. I do remember seeing a couple crosses here and there, but overall, I just remember that it was this immaculate city of gold that was set before me, and I was getting ready to walk through the gate. So I get set down, and my feet actually touch the ground on this path that was set before me. And so I start walking, and as I start walking, I notice that my feet, or like my weight, is super light. So I start running, and as I'm running faster and faster, that was when I noticed, once again, I'm being lifted again. And I was like, what's going on? And that was when he spoke to me in the dream. This was, and I understand that we need to pray for discernment and stuff like that. I did, and I did get an answer, but it's probably not the answer that, I was expecting. So we're not even going to worry about that. I just remember hearing a voice that was very sound, very distinct, very calm at that. And all of a sudden, he tells me, before you can enter heaven, you must do this. And those were the words that he said. Now, I don't know what this is. All I know is there's something that I have to do before I can enter heaven. Now, this is not to enter heaven. This is just something that I need to do before I can enter heaven. Almost as if the doorway is open to me. It's just I need to get something done first before I can leave. So as he told me this, I can only assume it was God himself. As he told me this, he dropped me, kind of like, boom, all right, bye. And so I'm falling, and at first it was like feet going down first. It looked like I would have crashed like this, but then all of a sudden I started to rotate, almost as if, I was fitting the form of my physical self, and all of a sudden I'm screaming and stuff like that. And that was when I woke up in real life, almost as if I had crashed into my body. I woke up out of breath. And so I was like catching up on breath and everything like that. And I was looking around confused, didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, that was when I thought to myself, what just happened? I saw heaven for a brief moment, and now I'm back here. And it's a pitch black room, and it was scary. I look at my phone. It's, I think, like 12:50, which is right around the time I have to get up to go to work, and stuff like that. And I was just like, dude, what just happened? And I also grabbed my pistol, and I'm like looking around and everything like that, because I was like, oh, I need to like make sure everything is good. But yeah, it was just like, dude, that was the most insane dream I have ever had. So yes, essentially I had seen heaven, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. I don't know why I got sent back. All I know is, or I don't know if I actually left my body and I was getting ready to go, or if it was just some sort of dream, some illusion. And so that was where I had no answer. Like, I don't know if it was real and I was getting ready to go to heaven and then he told me no, or if it was just a dream. Also, I don't know what this is. I don't know what the quote unquote this is, but I do know that there is some sort of task that he needs me to do to perform before I am accepted into heaven. Now, this is not to say that I have to do something to get into heaven. No, this is a task that he has set for me, and only I can complete it, and I need to do it. So I don't know what that is, but all I can do is pray. All I can do is read the word, and all I can do is try to get an understanding of what it is that he wants me to do. Because once I do that, then guess what? It's just a matter of time before I can enter into heaven. So, yeah, I was astonished. I had a grand time for the brief moment that I was there, just walking and then running towards heaven. And then all of a sudden, I was pulled back and thrown back into my body in real life. And I thought it was one of the most amazing things I have ever experienced. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Because obviously, from one person's perspective, it kind of seems surreal. It doesn't seem like it's something that would just, you would just dream of heaven and you would just go there. No, it would be like, there's obviously some spiritual, there's obviously some sort of spiritual relevance there, right? Something in the word could help explain what I had experienced, and that is something that I really want to get an answer for, is what did I experience? So if you guys can help me out with the word, I would greatly appreciate it. Send me some scripture in the comments, or just give me your overall opinion as to what may have occurred. It depends on what you think. And I'm open to every comment. I never disable my comments. And I always make sure that you guys can keep it 100. So I don't put any filters on for those comments. With that being said, yeah, like I said, just give me an idea of what you guys think it could have possibly meant. And yeah, have a great day. And I really want you guys to experience this, because it was something that was eye-opening. Like, I was right there. And then I was told, not yet. You have to do something first. I don't know what it is, but I'm just excited. I'm excited, So with that being said, guys, y'all have a great day. Love y'all, and God bless.